8 p.m. in the studio, Marina Kuhar. At night, Russia launched 137 drones over Ukraine. 80 destroyed our air defenses in the north, south, and east of the country, as well as in the center, the Air Force reported. Hits of 57 drones were recorded at 13 locations. And due to the overnight attack, consumers in Vinnytsia, Dnipropetrovsk, Donetsk, and Odessa regions remain without electricity. Restoration work is ongoing at the damaged energy facilities, according to the Ministry of Energy. In addition, emergency power outages have now been forced in Kharkiv, Sumy, Poltava, Zaporizhzhia, and partially in Kirovohrad regions. Today, throughout Ukraine, hourly outage schedules will be in effect until the end of the day. And the schedules, power restrictions for industrial consumers and businesses. Next, we have a story about incredible willpower despite living in complete darkness. Our hero is Artem Bondaryev, a veteran from Vinnytsia. After losing his sight in the war, he got a job at a local enterprise, travels alone by public transport, and does sports. And a few months ago, he also started running. And he's already setting goals for himself. Ambitious plans, which exactly Artem shared with our Victoria Hetman.
So that our shoulder blades cross at the back. 2, 3. It's 8 in the morning. While the center of Vinnytsia is just waking up, veteran Artem Bondaryev is already setting the pace for the new day. Together with his team of runners, he does a warm-up outdoors. His movements are precise and confident, and that's despite the fact that Artem is completely blind.
The mood is wonderful. It's a boost of motivation and positivity to start the morning.
But behind such confidence, Artem admits, lies a difficult path that began back in 2022 at the start of the full-scale war.
On the third day, I had already enlisted in the armed forces and went to fight. I joined the 71st Separate Jaeger Brigade and continued my service there until I was wounded. I was wounded 3 days before New Year's 2023.
The soldier was injured in close combat in the Luhansk region.
It was a close-quarters contact battle. It was a shootout, and they threw a couple of grenades at me from an underbarrel launcher, and unfortunately, my eyes couldn't withstand it. Shrapnel. Everything froze for a few seconds. 3 seconds, there was a ringing in my ears, and then everything started to come back to normal. I felt a jolt. Something pulled my head back, and then I blacked out.
After the injury, a new life began for Artem, one he now experiences through sound and touch.
You take a cane and go wherever you need to. You roll up your sleeves and get to work.
That's exactly how running appeared in Artem's life. For 2 months now, he has been training together with his mentor and psychotherapist, Maxim Marunkevich. They even use a special gadget before every start, so that no one gets lost on the track.
We attach the band and run.
You could say that I'm not the psychotherapist. He's the psychotherapist for me. When you focus on the abilities you do have, we also have this kind of program. Everything is step by step, one step at a time. We will move toward our goal. And the goal is the New York Marathon. Every year, on the first Sunday of November, it brings together thousands of athletes and is one of the largest races in the world.
To everyone sitting at home, take my example. Go outside and run with us. Together with Hard Run, we'll reach victory. Sports. It directly energizes me. I prepare for it. It's a whole process. Both the preparation, the rehabilitation after running, and the running itself. It's a process that I enjoy. I get a real thrill from the running itself, and also after the run. There's this feeling like a light euphoria, and it's worth all the effort you put into it.
You run for how you feel. Sometimes it's 5, sometimes it's 10 kilometers.
You have to stay in shape. We have this thing where we run once a week, but for me that's not enough. I don't move enough. But I hope to buy myself a treadmill and catch up to Maxim.
Artem needs a special treadmill, one with handrails that will provide support. This is a very important component. He has started a fundraiser, so we would be grateful if someone could support us in this initiative. So far, a third of the required amount has been raised. You can join the fundraiser on Maxim Marunkevich's social media page.
We will be preparing for the marathon because we need to run 42.195 kilometers, and we will do it.
From Vinnytsia, Victoria Hetman, Dmytro Kabak, My Ukraine, Marathon, United News.
The General Staff confirmed strikes on the oil refinery in Syzran, which is in the Samara region, and in the port of Temryuk, which is in the Krasnodar Krai. The attack was carried out by defense forces as a result of the strikes. Fires broke out at both facilities. In Temryok, fuel storage tanks are burning and the transshipment terminal has been damaged. Oil. This is being reported by enemy social media channels. In addition, drones also flew into Chechnya. In Grozny, due to the operation of air defense systems, a tower of the Grozny city complex where government offices are located was damaged. The enemy's Ministry of Defense claims that 41 drones were allegedly shot down over various regions of Russia overnight. At the front, the heaviest fighting over the past day took place in the Pokrovsk direction. There, our defenders repelled 52 assaults. This was reported by the General Staff in the areas of Mirnohrad, Novoekonomishne, Novopavlivka, Udakhne, and about a dozen other settlements. In the Oleksandrivka direction, the Russians attacked near Zeleny High, Sosnivka, and Vishneve. Intense fighting continues in the Kostiantynivka, Sloviansk, and Lyman sectors. In the southern Slobozansky direction, our forces repelled 4 attacks. The Joint Forces grouping confirmed Russian advances in Vovchansk-Kharkiv region. NABU and SAP, together with the SBU, announced that they had uncovered a criminal group led by a current member of parliament. NABU stated that initial investigative actions are ongoing. They promised to provide details later. The media reports that the MP in question is Anna Skorokhod. It is alleged that the Member of Parliament, together with accomplices, was documented demanding $250,000 from an entrepreneur. Skorokhod confirmed that investigative actions were taking place at her residence. The MP says she considers this to be direct pressure on the opposition and an attempt to block her political activity because of her principled stance. Moldovan police are conducting searches in a case concerning the preparation of mass riots during the recent parliamentary elections. Investigative actions are being carried out in Chisinau and several other cities. From the suspects, 35 people in total, phones, SIM cards, passports, radios, a mock Kalashnikov rifle and ammunition were seized. According to investigators, they regularly traveled to Serbia, where they received training from foreign instructors. They intended to use the knowledge and skills they had acquired to incite unrest during the election period. Parliamentary elections were held in Moldova at the end of September. The country's authorities reported unprecedented interference by Russia, which was planning to bring pro-Kremlin forces to power. The police reported 70 people detained. 31 years ago, Ukraine, Russia, the United Kingdom, and the United States signed the Budapest Memorandum. On the anniversary of the document's signing, Ukraine's Foreign Minister Andriy Sybiha stated that Ukraine no longer trusts empty promises and insists on reliable security guarantees. He added that while working to end Russia's war against Ukraine, it is important to remember the bitter lessons learned. Budapest. Today, Ukraine and the world are celebrating Volunteer Day. Volodymyr Zelensky thanked everyone who does not remain indifferent and supports Ukraine, our defense, our soldiers, and life in our communities. Millions of people have joined the volunteer movement since the first days of the war in 2014. And since the beginning of the full-scale invasion, our army of volunteers has grown many times over. And it is precisely in this unity of Ukrainians that we managed to hold back the Russian occupiers beyond the front line, Zelensky noted. In Kharkiv, architects and volunteers are trying to save the remains of a historic manor. From the 19th century, we are talking about the residential building of Merchant Sorokin. The building was not a listed monument and, due to numerous renovations, had lost its original appearance, but it retained its scale and overall architectural form, making it valuable historically. On April 22nd, the Russians dropped an aerial bomb on it and restoration is no longer possible. The building cannot be restored. So what are the volunteers doing now? Irina Antoniuk will tell us.
I'm chipping off the remnants of a cement-like mixture so that it will be much easier to properly store and effectively use it later on.
Volunteer Oleksiy shows how he cleans the masonry and explains the different markings on the bricks. In the 19th century, bricks were fired by craftsmen who made them in small batches in their yards. And each would stamp their mark in their own way.
Here you can see, for example, there are defects. For example, the stamp could be upside down. And in general, you can see that each stamp was applied by hand, since the placement of the stamp is different on every brick.
The volunteers carefully dismantled the entire wall brick by brick. This is the house of merchant Sorokin. This is how it looked originally. Later it was rebuilt like this. And this is what it became in the spring of 2022 when the Russians dropped a 1-ton aerial bomb on the building from a plane. In the spring of 2022, we already showed this building right after it was hit. At that time, volunteers also gathered here, as well as ordinary residents from neighboring buildings who were able to walk here and help the utility workers with the cleanup. They cleared the roadway and the park of debris. Recently, the building was declared beyond repair. It does not have protected status due to previous renovations, so contractors began dismantling it. But volunteer architects started to dismantle the bricks by hand in order to preserve them.
If we don't do this, then in fact it has no chance of being preserved in history in any way. That is, everything the contractor removes is taken to the landfill, and it just turns into trash.
The bricks will be stored in a special city facility, and they can be used at the very least for the restoration of other valuable historic buildings, or even as evidence to confirm Russian war crimes.
We are, in essence, meticulously preserving invaluable material and vital resources that our future generations and distant descendants may very well utilize in innovative and groundbreaking ways that we, in our current understanding, cannot even begin to fully comprehend or imagine today.
The remnants of cement are being pulled out. And when I get to the bricks, I'll be picking those out too.
Dozens of volunteers have joined the effort, coming whenever they have free time.
It's important to me to preserve this heritage that Kharkiv has, and also to help deal with all the consequences of the war.
Since the start of the full-scale war, the Russians have already damaged more than 600 historic buildings in the city, the project organizers said. Reporting from Kharkiv, Irina Antoniuk, Oleksiy Juchkov, We Are Ukraine. Marathon. United News.
He was told he would never walk, but now he's conquering new heights. Last April, National Guard fighter Dmytro Kolesnik was wounded in Donetsk region. Since then, he has undergone more than 60 surgeries. He lost both legs, but he didn't give up. He started doing rock climbing. Daria Likodid will tell the story of his injury and inner strength.
I served in different directions, and still I didn't feel that I give myself completely to the country, fully defending it.
Fighter Dmytro Kolesnik has been at the front since 2019. Before the full-scale invasion, he served in the Patrol Battalion of the National Guard, and since February 2022, in the Territorial Defense Forces. A year later, he transferred to a mobile fire group. In
2023, we went for the first time to Donetsk region. Everything was calm, everyone arrived, everyone was alive and healthy.
But a year later, in April 2024, Dmytro was wounded by an enemy drop. Everything happened quickly. There was no time to hide.
Probably a minute or two passes. And the commander says that right now there's already an FPV drone above you and a drop is coming. Then, I don't know, perhaps about 5 long seconds elapse and I just feel a sudden sharp hit directly underneath me and I completely lose all consciousness.
When I came to from the adrenaline shock, I didn't feel any pain, but I understood that the enemy would keep attacking with more drops. I
start to move and realize that I can only fall down and crawl. There's something wrong with my legs and my pelvis. Then a comrade saw that I was alive, ran over to me, started grabbing me by the body armor and pulling me out.
From the wounds he received, Dmytro's legs were literally twisted and his pelvis was shattered. They couldn't evacuate him from the position for more than an hour because of enemy FPV drones.
The guys started covering me with leaves, branches, dirt, anything they could find. Then I just see how it hovers above me and I see that grenade. I don't know if it thought I was a KIA or just didn't notice me, but that was such a terrifying moment. Pain. I was already starting to hurt, but it was the will to keep living.
And then came a difficult evacuation. At the hospital in Dnipro, my left leg was amputated immediately. They tried to save the right one.
But everything there was so badly severed, so mangled, even though they tried. And you just realize that I seem to be moving my leg, my toes, I can move them a little. But you understand that if I don't cut it off, I'll die.
In just the first month, Dmytro underwent 25 surgeries on his legs and over 60 in total. And even now, the treatment continues. But that doesn't stop Dmytro. Half a year after his injury, he started rock climbing.
Well, you know, just to try myself out. Even if I don't win, it's about the emotions, the adrenaline, the thrill.
At first, it didn't go very well, but now Dmytro sets new personal records every time.
The floor. I don't feel it at all. I support my entire weight with my arms. It's hard because I just don't understand.
His friends and family fully support his passion. And Dmytro has set himself the goal of conquering the highest point of the pavilion, 12 meters.
My goal is to reach the very top. I'll climb there. To complete it is accurate.
Daria Likodid, Mikhailo Golovnenko. We are Ukraine. Marfan, the only news.